I still remember this day vividly, how I was cutting potatoes, which was at the time the only thing that I was able to eat and that I was able to digest because of all the antibiotics that had destroyed my belly, that has destroyed my digestive tract. And I still remember how I was at my lowest point. I was in pain. I was barely being able to stand and to cut those damn potatoes. How I was taking the knife with which I was cutting the potatoes. I was taking the knife and I was turning it around, and for a moment I just thought to myself, just ram it in there, just get it over. That was my thought back then. And that was me in the middle of what I would describe my biggest health issue that I had to struggle with. And I say that as somebody who was born with a congenital heart defect, who had a heart surgery when I was a baby, once again when I was 13 years old. But it was nothing compared to the pain that I was going through when the world was in lockdown. Because in the year 2020, that's when my symptoms started. First, it started by me not being able to go to the bathroom anymore, not being able to pee anymore. I couldn't void my bladder completely. And after test and test and test, it was then discovered that I had a cyst in my bladder right at the sphincter. And this cyst had to be removed. And I then went into surgery for this cyst, or let's say not for the cyst, for the removal of this cyst. And after the surgery, I had developed severe nerve damage. And when I say severe, I mean severe. I was in so much pain throughout the day that I could barely walk. I was basically all day long just laying on the couch. I had such, and oh, excuse me, now I'm getting a little bit emotional here, but I had such a pain that I still remember that when I was putting on my boxer shorts, just the boxer shorts that touched the area down there where the bladder is, where this area of your body is basically, I was putting the boxer short on and I was screaming and crying in pain. That's how severe my nerve damage was after that surgery. And on top of that, my doctors told me, if it's not healed by now, then I guess you have to live with it. And thank God, thank the universe, thank everything in this world. That's when I was guided to the teachings of Neville Goddard, and then later on also to the teachings of Dr. Dispenza and other spiritual teachers. And I combined all these different teachings. And before I now very briefly will share a quote from Neville Goddard with you, before I share with you exactly how I healed myself, exactly what I did, and the exact step-by-step plan, I just want you to know that you are more powerful than you think you are. And that even in your darkest hours, even when you want to give up, it's hard for me to say it any other way. And I know it sounds like such a cliche, but you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going. Just like I kept going back then. Just like, it wasn't easy. I mean, I remember I had these experiences where I was driving in the Uber to the hospital to get a checkup, and I was holding the seat belt up in my hands because I couldn't put the seat belt on my bladder lower belly area because it was just too painful. I didn't know back then if I would ever be able to run again, if I would ever be able to go to the gym again, if I would be ever able to have sensual experiences with a partner again. I didn't know any of that. I mean, my lower area was basically completely messed up. And I just want you to know that you're more powerful than you think you are. And that's why I now want to share a quote from Neville Goddard with you that truly touched my heart back then, and that I know had a tremendous impact on my motivation, my inspiration to continue on this healing journey and to not give up, even though I had dark nights of the soul, even though I held that knife to my chest, even though I had moments where I just wanted to give up, where I couldn't take it anymore, where I was crying in the corner. But this quote, I hope, will also give you guidance and give you a sense of, yes, it can be done. So here's what Neville Goddard says. Now, if it is a state of health that you desire of attaining, before you have any evidence of health in your world, you begin to feel yourself to be healthy. The very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, the two have agreed. That is, I am and health have agreed to be one. And this agreement results in the birth of a child, which is the thing agreed upon. this case, health. And I now want to repeat this quote again, because I believe that if you now listen to it with your heart, something inside of you can and will shift. Now, if it is a state of health that you desire of attaining, before you have any evidence of health in your world, and sorry if I get a little bit emotional while I read this, but you begin to feel yourself to be healthy. The very second the feeling, I am healthy, is attained, the two have agreed. That is, I am and health have agreed to be one, and this agreement results in the birth of a child, which is the thing agreed upon. In this case, health. As Neville Goddard always says, feeling is the secret. You have to feel yourself into the state of the wish fulfilled. You have to feel your desire so vividly, so realistically, up to a point where this feeling of health is more emotionally stimulating and has a bigger emotional impact in your day-to-day life than the feeling of sickness. And now you might be saying, yeah, but Sebastian, what do I do if I'm in pain every day? What do I do if I don't feel healthy? What do I do if the 3D reality that I'm in gives me a reminder every second of the day that I am not healthy? What do I do in this situation? Here's what I did in the first step before I even felt myself into the feeling of health and before I was able to do that properly. And I know that this will sound very controversial and you might even want to click away and close that video when I say it, but I truly hope that you continue to watch it, because this is the secret that has helped me so much on my healing journey. And it's so counterintuitive that almost nobody does it. And here's what it is. And I want to illustrate that once again with one of my terrible paintings, or not paintings, drawings, that's what I mean.
A few moments later.
So this is your health issue. No matter what you're struggling with, no matter if it's a certain chronic disease, or if it's something from an accident, or if it's nerve damage from a surgery, just like it was the case for me. This health issue was your stop sign, your big stop sign. And yes, I didn't have the color red, so I colored it pink, but anyway. And this stop sign basically says you are at the moment, most likely, of course, every person is an individual, every individual situation is different, but most likely you're living your life in a way that is not in alignment with the awakening that you need to go through in order to reach the next level. And this is the formula for allowing yourself to feel something for your sickness that I bet nobody else has ever mentioned that it might be a good idea to feel that, and that's gratitude. And now you might be saying, Sebastian, gratitude? Gratitude? Come on, are you serious? How can I possibly be grateful for this sickness? Because it can be and lead to your awakening. It can be your biggest teacher. It can be your biggest lesson if you allow yourself to see it as the awakening that it can be. Because always remember, what you resist persists. If you every day wake up and say, oh God, sickness, I hate you, go away from me, I don't want you anymore, then you resist. And with this resistance, you allow the disease, the sickness to persist. But if you realize, if you would only realize, no matter how painful this realization is, and you can believe me, for me, this realization was incredibly painful. But if you can only realize that this health issue is your awakening. I mean, when I think back to how I lived my life before this health issue, I was in a constant state of stress. I was trapped in the survival emotions. I was destroying myself. I was hating myself. And I was living my life from these very low energies and in a such low level of consciousness that it's no wonder that I ended up on a surgery table. And without this disease, without this situation, I would have never experienced the awakening that I've experienced. This video would not exist if after my surgery I had not developed this severe nerve damage. If everything had went great and I would have just said, okay, after 3 weeks I'm good, now I can continue to live my life the way I did it before. But the universe gave me this opportunity to grow, this opportunity to become who I'm destined to be. And that was only possible because of this nerve damage. It gave me a purpose, and I gave it a purpose by being grateful for it. And I had so many coaching clients who booked individual coaching sessions with me because they were suffering from certain health issues. They wanted to change things about their body, who tried to heal for years and to try to feel the feelings of health for years. And when they made this change, the change of feeling grateful for the opportunity that this sickness provides, then it was so much easier for them to go into the feeling. And remember, feeling is the secret, which leads me to the next point I want to discuss, and that's to create an image of your healing. And this is highly individual. You have to choose an image that for you represents, that's the life I would live if I was healed. And I chose between different images. I chose an image where I was walking again. I chose an image where I was going to the gym again. And I chose an image where I was playing basketball again. And for me, the image of playing basketball was the most effective one because I love basketball. I freaking love it. And it gave me the biggest emotional push. And this is the image you have to choose. No matter if it's you can say politically correct image, if it's you making love to your partner, or if it's you running a marathon, or whatever it might be. Choose the image that gives you the biggest emotional impact. And then, and this leads me to the next important point, activate it in a sense where you see yourself in the first person perspective. Because you want to experience this reality in your imagination, in the imaginal act, from the state of already being healed. Not as a faraway observer who maybe sees yourself from a distance, so you are here, and then you see yourself in the third person perspective, but as somebody who really lives it, who really lives this experience. That's how you have to see yourself, which I again illustrated with a wonderful drawing. Isn't this a beautiful picture? So here, that's your sick self, that's your healthy self. Here we have the feeling plus the first person perspective. Always visualize in the first person perspective, and remember, you are more powerful than you think you are. And what if you're visualizing, but you just can't seem to feel that this picture is real? It doesn't feel real. It feels like something from a distant future. Then I would do this. And that's me, by the way. That's me jumping to the basketball and being able to play basketball again. That was the image that I had back then. Then add the senses. And that should illustrate me just lying on the couch, being completely bedridden and not being able to walk properly, which 4 years ago was the state I was in. And I then visualized myself in this scene of playing basketball with all the senses, which meant for me, I could feel the texture of the basketball on my fingers. I could hear the sound of the ball going in the net and the whoosh feeling, or let's say whoosh sound, when it then goes through the net. I could feel how I was lifting up from the sky and jumping, and I was then hearing the sound of me going on the floor again with my shoes, and I could smell the fresh air on the outdoor court. All these senses, these different senses were active in my imagination. And was I able to do that on the first day properly? No, of course not. I mean, I had so many days where I was visualizing and it wasn't working for me. And sometimes I was crying, sometimes I had a breakdown, a mental breakdown. I will never be healed, this will never work. But you know what I did then? I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again, and again, which I again illustrated with a very beautiful painting. No, sorry, why do I always say painting? Drawing. I guess I have to improve my English, but yes, I illustrated it again for you. And here you go. Feel it again and again and again and again. Giving up is not an option. There is no giving up. This is your healing journey. This is your body. This is you healing yourself. There is no giving up. And if you then follow these steps that I shared with you and you do not give up, at some point, your physical reality will change in a way that it facilitates your healing. And this might come in a spontaneous healing overnight, but this might also come in a way where you're guided to a doctor that you meet at a bar where a friend randomly asked you out, which is a synchronicity directly from the universe. That might also come from a direct download that you get directly from the universe, which has happened to me multiple times, where, for example, had an amino acid, the name of an amino acid, suddenly in my mind after one of these Imaginal Act meditations where I closed my eyes, I visualized, and I went into the Imaginal Act, suddenly it was there, out of nowhere. So always keep in mind that your job is not to figure out how it will come to you. As long as you have your desire and you combine it with the Imaginal Act and the feeling, something at some point will shift for you. I'm very confident about that because it has happened to me and it has happened to so many of my coaching clients. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I hope that my story was a good example for you, how you can address the issues that you're struggling with right now. If you want to personally work with me in a coaching session, then you can click on the first and second link in the description, which leads you to my 8-week Abundance Reality Shift coaching program or to the individual coaching sessions that you can book with me. I offer individual coaching sessions and individual hypnosis sessions. And yep, that was it from me today. And now, of course, I invite you to subscribe and to watch the next video, because this shows the YouTube algorithm that you like what this weird German here is talking about. And I'm confident that you will enjoy the next video that will pop up here, here, or here, or here, or maybe somewhere here.